Hello, collective. I am Juanica, also known as Miss Astrology, and this is your week ahead forecast for today, which is August the 7th. Happy birthday to my mom, my very favorite Leo, and we will go all the way through next Sunday, which is August the 14th. And this week we have a full moon, and I actually think that this is that kind of final straw full moon before we really move forward with our highest self, really are able to make the changes that we've been feeling and really move forward in a way that is guiding us more to our purpose, using our gifts, using our resources, and really expressing ourselves. Now, I do think that this moon is going to be most difficult because Saturn is involved, okay? The sun is at home in the sign of Leo, really looking to express itself, have a great time, be creative, grandiose, and over the top. And if you have Leo energy or really fiery energy, you may have really been expressing this. I myself am a Leo rising with Jupiter on my ascendant. And when I tell you guys, it has been makeup and self-care and hanging out with friends and just having a good time ever since Leo season started. So there are those of us that are really learning to embrace ourselves and are allowing our inner child to explore and to create and to really show self-love and self-expression. But there are those of us that have been having a more difficult time with this transit, and that would be more of the fixed signs. So Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio are likely the signs that are having a little bit more difficulty during this time, mainly because those are fixed signs. And when Uranus and the North Node and Mars all made that conjunction in Taurus this week, for a lot of us, that shook some shit up in our worlds, whether it be seeing what we really want and really how we can obtain it, the work that needs to be done, really identifying our purpose, our goals, really seeing that the things that we thought were valuable and resourceful are not as much, or maybe starting to see more that these things that we've been working on are really the means to an entirely different end than maybe what we were feeling at the beginning of the year. And, you know, this North Node in Uranus and Mars conjunction have really been building. And then Uranus and Saturn are in a square with each other. And so I think that these changes have been showing themselves. These disruptions have been in the background. We knew they were coming. But now that these things are really in the forefront and we're really having to consider, you know, what am I doing with myself? What is my purpose at this time in life? Because I do believe that our gifts and our purpose, we have so many of them that we need different ones for different times in life. And so I do think that for a lot of us, we are just starting to say, okay, wait a minute. Is this what I really want in life? What do I really want in life? Maybe some of us are going back to basics, back to when I was young. This is what an ideal life looked like for me. Why am I not pursuing those things now as an adult? Why am I not as excited about these things as an adult as I thought that I would be as a child, or that I was when I was younger? Can I really make these changes? Can I really embrace this new direction and this new flow? And the planets are saying, you better. You really do want to embrace this new energy, this new flow, this new direction, this chaos, this assertion, aggression. Maybe you just aren't able to rest. Maybe you're just really feeling uneasy and not able to. Normally you rest really well, or normally your mind is really calm and you've been feeling a lot more anxiety. And this is an opportunity for us with this full moon, because remember, full moons are opportunities to let go. These are things really being brought to the light. The moon is completely lit up by the sun. We're able to really see its surface and really see the surface of things that are in our lives that we may need to let go of, that we may need to release, that we may need to bring to an end, so that we can really get into what the sun in Leo is trying to shine in our lives, which is joy, which is romance and happiness, and being yourselves, being true to yourselves. I tell people a lot of times, because I personally love Leo energy, and so oftentimes I will tell people, you have to think of Leo like the sun. It is the only sign that is ruled by the sun. And the sun doesn't give a shit about anybody, right? Not to say that Leos don't care, because I don't think that's true. But Leo energy is meant to shine. It's meant to be bright. And honestly, without the sun, the earth would not even exist. It wouldn't even be here. And so this energy for me is like, we really have to tap into how to be true to ourselves, how to really tap into what we deeply feel. And it's funny to say deeply feel, because Aquarius doesn't feel, I mean, they feel deeply, but they don't really express that. And so with this moon, this is the opportunity for some of those things to come up for us. Some of those feelings that are deeply within us to come out. This is not going to be easy because Saturn is involved. So Saturn is at 22 degrees of Aquarius, and this full moon will happen with the moon at 19 degrees and the sun at 19 degrees of the moon will be 19 degrees of Aquarius and the sun will be 19 degrees of Leo. They will be across the sky from each other. And then Saturn is at 22 degrees of Aquarius. So that is a 3-degree orb, or like a 3-degree distance. So Saturn, being as slow moving and as big as it is definitely going to be influential this week in this moon. So there's a lot of emotions that are going to come up. And when you think about Aquarius, this is a sign that is, those two, the glyphs are like two waves, if you will, or squiggly lines. One of those is an indication of thought and how logical and practical Aquarius is, because it is, as an air sign, it's very practical and very logical and very methodical in the way that it moves. But that second wave that represents Aquarius is intuition. It's just a feeling and just an inner knowing. And there is that balance. All of the air signs represent a duality or a balance. There is that balance in moving with practicality, but as well as moving with emotion and based off of intuition and just an inner knowing. And with Saturn being in Aquarius, for a lot of people, this has been difficult, specifically if you have planets in Aquarius and in that, 20 degrees. All of us, specifically Aquarians, have been getting hit by it over the last year, since 2020, when in December of 2020, when Saturn went into Aquarius. So you've really been dealing with it, but this full moon is offering you the opportunity to let go of anything that has been hindering you from moving in a very practical way or a very intuitive way. Which one is it? Now, the thing about working with the sun and the moon and Mercury and Venus, these are personal planets. So they move at a pretty quick rate, to where as individuals, we can allow the energy to bypass us. We can allow that energy to just go on and not take advantage of it. The problem is when you have Saturn involved, this is a more societal planet. It moves slow. So you can't outlast Saturn. It is the planet of long lasting, okay? So what Saturn is doing here and what Saturn is teaching, and then the way that Saturn is requiring us to do the work and to grow up and mature, this is a way that you're not going to be able to run from. This is not something that you're going to be able to just, let me focus on this instead and that will go away. No, that is going to actually come closing in on you a little bit more. So if you've been really trying to deal with life and relationships, partnerships, and honestly, Depends on where Aquarius is in your chart. Maybe it's a health thing. Maybe it's finances. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's career. Maybe it's your personal appearance. Wherever Saturn is or Aquarius is in your chart, this is an opportunity for you to really examine how you've approached these situations or experiences that you've been dealing with recently in life, and how to grow from them and mature from them in a way that is joyful for you, because the sun is in Leo, and the sun is the only planet in Leo right now, okay? The sun is in Leo, so this has to bring a sense of personal joy, personal excitement, personal happiness, but it also has to be a way that ultimately provides to the collective. And one of the beautiful things about this is that when we can be true to ourselves, when we can be true to seeking our own joy, our own happiness, our own creative expression, when we allow our inner child to have fun and explore and show up, this in turn is ultimately better for the collective. Period. You don't have to go all these extra miles and do all these extra things and put all these extra thoughts into it and have all these extra feelings about it. Just do you. Just be you. And that's ultimately going to pour positive energy, because the fire and the air signs are considered positive energy. Not that negative energy is a bad thing, but it's a little bit more of an internal thing. But this positive energy is more outwards. And so as you are expressing yourself, your authentic, true self, your joyful self more authentically, then the collective gets to experience that, and they get the benefits of that as well. And so it is important that with this moon, we examine areas of our lives where we may have been holding back because logically it didn't make sense, or intuitively it just didn't feel right. Now, I am not one to say go against your intuition, but if your intuition has you in a place of fear, if your intuition, if you are, or your dreams or your feelings are like hindering your movement, hindering your forward progress, then this is a time to check that and to make sure it is actually intuition and not just emotions that have been embedded to you from maybe older people or people in authority, because Saturn does represent those things. Saturn represents authority, patriarchy, capitalism, old ways of doing things. And so maybe you have feelings about why you should or should not do something, but those feelings are more based on old ways of thinking, or old ways that you were taught, or old lessons that you've learned that don't necessarily apply today. And so I just want to encourage you with this full moon, and the same day that this full moon happens, Venus, which is the sign or the planet of personal value, of money, of beauty, of partnering, I personally don't think Venus represents love, and I'm going to do a TikTok on that really soon this week. But this is about that beautifying, that enhancing, that money. So Venus represents those things, and Venus is going into the sign of Leo, where the sun is on the same day of this full moon. And so it does feel like this energy is reminding you that whatever you're letting go of is really bringing more self-value and self-worth. Whatever it is that you're stopping, are you stopping procrastination, or being afraid, or being disconnected, or maybe you stop working so freaking hard and allow yourself to feel and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Maybe there's just an area, maybe you stop feeling so much and being so in your emotions and so in your dreams that you start actually communicating how you feel, so that you can work those things out in a balanced way. Or maybe you start putting practical steps behind your dreams and the things that you fantasize about. Or because remember, I'm saying these two opposites because the glyph, I keep seeing the glyph of Aquarius, which is like, are you being too practical? Are you being too feely? And again, those air signs always represent the duality. So this full moon and this week, allow yourselves to really release whatever it is that is holding you back from expressing your true self. I do believe that the fixed signs, this is going to be the most difficult lesson for you guys to take in this week. And that's just because change is not easy for the fixed signs. That's Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. However, all the planets are aligned for big changes for these signs, specifically Taurus, because we have the North Node and Uranus and Mars. They conjuncted all last week. And I do feel like that as this full moon is coming, we saw some things or felt some things or had epiphanies on some things last week that we may have been pondering over. Well, how would I do that? How is that going to get done? I know for myself, I absolutely have. But it's also something to be very excited about and to say, okay, let me get out of my feelings and see how it can be practical. Let me get out of the practical and see how this really feels. Let me remember that Saturn is involved, so it's going to take work. It's not going to be maybe as easy as I would like for it to be, but you know, the harder you work for things sometimes, once you get it in the end, the more rewarding that it is when you have to put in that work. And I always tell my clients and all of you guys that Saturn does bring rewards. It doesn't bring rewards like Jupiter. Jupiter is like winning the lottery. It just drops off money in your bank account or just gives you a blessing, whether you're ready for it or not, whether you're mature for it or not, whether you work for it or earned it or value it or not. To where Saturn will give you a blessing after you've worked for it. And it'll be more than you imagined. Like, yeah, I put in the hours, I put in the work, but who knew I would get this kind of recognition? Who knew that higher ups were seeing this and that I would be rewarded for my hard work and the time and the effort and the energy that I've put in? And it's still a big reward like Jupiter is, but we value it more. We take better care of it because we have the time and the energy and the work behind it. And so for me, it's like giving your teenager a car and making your teenager work to come up with some of the money to buy a car. Trust me. They are, and I say this because I have a teenage daughter, and the first car that we gave her, literally a month later, she drove it into water and that car was gone. We bought it cash for her, gave it to her. I told her I didn't think she should go outside that day, but she went outside that day. She drove into water that she thought was not as deep as it was, completely ruined her super cute little Acura that she had only had for a month. Well, the next time around, she had to buy her own car, all of it. We didn't put any money down to any more cars after that. And then this girl has taken very good care of cars and never had that kind of incident again. As a matter of fact, I don't think she's ruined another car. She's traded up since then. So that is the same Jupiter-Saturn energy. And fire signs, we go into this week with the moon in Sagittarius, the sun in Leo, and Jupiter in Aries. So Aries and Sagittarius in particular, I do think that you guys are feeling really good. I think Leo is feeling good as well, but Leo is just struggling with expressing how good they feel and really being excited about their future and where they're going. And so work on that, Leo. Now, Sag and Aries, I feel like you guys are excited. You guys are feeling good. I know I am. And so this may be the time for you to put a plan to it. So especially Sagittarius, we just like to be all over the place. Sag, this is an opportunity for you to say, okay, what are my next steps? What work do I need to put into this? What time, how much time do I need to be put into this? Where do I need to show more discipline? Because Aquarius is an air sign, so it does make a positive aspect, a sextile to Sagittarius. And with Saturn there, if we can be logical and practical, yeah, it's got to feel good. We're a Sag, so yeah, it's got to feel good. But if you could be logical and practical with the work that you put in, you could absolutely see great rewards and benefits, specifically next year. Aries, I do think they just listen. You can't just go. You need to have a plan, and you need to also know how long this is going to take, what your next steps are. Aries just likes to take off, right? It's the ram, and so the ram is just like, well, let's just go. We'll figure it out. We'll knock it over and make room as we go. And that's not what, again, Aquarius, Saturn and Aquarius is also making a sextile to Aries energies, and that is not what Saturn is wanting us to do. It's about plan, it's about purpose, it's about taking our time, putting in the work to release whatever we are afraid of or that is holding us back, or in an area where we are undisciplined, and really moving forward really in a futuristic way and being true to ourselves, but in a way that is both practical and feels good. So I hope that helps. I do have some cards. I'm going to pull a few cards for us. Excuse my little table. I try to come up with something new for you guys. You know, this is just me. I do this ever so often. I also want to share a story. This week I gave away a deck of cards. Now, this is my third time giving away a deck. My first time ever giving away a deck that I work with. And it felt really good to do, specifically because this is a longtime client and she reads the cards right along with me. She also has a lot of Scorpio energy, and Scorpio is a very intuitive sign that can read tarot very easily. I do think that my Venus in Scorpio helps with interpreting tarot and really tapping into spiritual messages. And so I gave that deck away, walked out of that reading without a deck of cards. And then when I went to, I was like, of course I need this this is my deck. Modern Witch Tarot is the deck of cards that I use simply because it is the most like the Rider-Waite deck, which is the deck anybody that is studying tarot needs to know this deck. And so this is the one that is the most like it for me, that has the same symbols and message and symbolism, because I do like to stay with things that are traditional. So yeah, I went to go rebuy my deck, and it was half price, you guys. Half of the original price. It was on sale for 50%. And it just felt like a cute little blessing. It felt like the universe was, you know, double for my trouble. Not that it was trouble to give my deck away, because it really wasn't. But it was like the universe gave me double. Excuse me. If anybody knows, I do not allow more than one jumper to come out at a time when I pull. That's just my own personal rules for tarot. Okay, the first card that came out was the Lovers. And what I like about the Lovers card, and this is a card that I am going to consider to be reversed because I'm doing the reading from my perspective. So the first card that came out was the Lovers card. The Lovers card is about choices. It's about commitments. This is not necessarily about romance, specifically because the Lovers card is Gemini's card, and Gemini is not a romantic sign. Gemini is about making choices. It's ruled by Mercury. It's about making decisions. It represents the third house of neighbors and familiarity. And so this is, for me, the Lovers card coming out is about making choices. The Emperor came out next. It is also reversed. And so the Emperor is Aries card. Okay, so right now we've already started off with air and fire energy. So for me, the Lovers card is saying let's consider the choices. Consider, have we been leaning too far into one thing? Because these lovers are bound. One thing that I like to kind of point out is these Lovers cards that show up here also symbolically show up in the Devil card. And the Devil does have these same two, but they are pointing outwards, facing outwards, and they are chained. And so this, to me, is a reminder of the choices that you make are somehow going to bind you to people, ideas, things, because in the Devil's card, this angel turns into the devil at the top. And so, and the Devil's card represents Capricorn energy, and Capricorn energy is very much like, no, you're going to stick with this. You need to stay with this. You need to work hard for this choice and this commitment that you've made. And so with these cards being reversed and this being a full moon week, I do think that what they're saying to us, specifically with the Emperor, we have the Emperor reversed. This is Aries energy. This is very much about taking action and moving forward. This is also the Emperor sitting on this like ice, his reign here. I'm like drawing a blank on what this is called that he's sitting in, but his throne. It looks hard, right? It looks like it's made out of cement. It's made out of something hard. So this can also represent being stubborn, being stern, not wanting to move, not wanting to make the changes. But if you look in the Emperor card, he has the Ankh in his hand. You know, you have that inner knowing, that gut feeling or that logical thought that is like, this isn't working, or I need to put more energy and emphasis in this, or I can actually bring this to fruition if I do the hard work, if I'm stern, if I'm steady, if I'm fully committed. The Emperor does not change his mind. Like, look at him. He's stern. And that Ankh represents that he's got knowledge. And those buildings in the background represent all the things that he's overcome. And so you've overcome a lot. You've learned a lot. You have the knowledge to make a new choice, because the Lovers are here. To make a new choice that maybe it's a completely opposite of the choice that you made previously about something. I thought this was going to be great. I thought this was what I wanted. You're allowed to change your mind. That's why we have 4 immutable signs, because there's no way we can go straight from summer to fall. We need that in between time. We can't just go from fall and the next day's winter. We need that in between time to change our mind. So you are absolutely allowed to change your mind. The Hierophant is here, Taurus energy. I want to note that we have all major arcana cards. Well, the first 3. The Page of Swords is reversed. I'm going to pull 7 cards today. The Hierophant is Taurus energy. Maybe there's something new to learn. Maybe you need to get back to your roots. With the Page of Swords coming out next to the Hierophant reverse, I do think that there's something new to learn. The Moon has shown up. Another major arcana card, which represents being logical, being practical. Like, I feel like with it being next to the Lovers, too many of us have made emotional choices. The Page of Pentacles, new money ventures, new resources, and the 4 of Cups. I like it. Okay, let me say this. We have the Lovers, the Emperor, the Hierophant. We have the Moon, the Page of Pentacles, and the 4 of Cups. I personally see this story very, very clearly, but I am an experienced tarot reader. So this is what I see. We have made choices, the Lovers, that at this point we really may need to re-examine and make some changes. This is not the time to be stubborn and or stern and or dogmatic about your choices. And also with the Hierophant showing up again as well, maybe it's time to get back to basics, back to the root of things, back to learning something. Maybe it's time to seek wise counsel. This is Taurus energy. We just had that conjunction of the North Node and Uranus and Mars and Taurus. And so this Taurus energy very much can speak to getting back to what our elders taught us, getting back to the foundations of our family, seeking wise counsel in order to make these moves, because these are not going to be easy moves. The Hierophant in Taurus is fixed energy. Taurus loves security above all else. And so this may be disrupting our sense of security, specifically with the Page of Swords and the Moon next. And the Page of Swords is new ideas. This is reverse. And so I think this is a time for us to go back within. Maybe this is new self-talk. Maybe this is new ways of processing or new ways of looking for information. So I get this idea, if you want to leave this country and you want to go live somewhere else, maybe it's time to get back to the root of the culture of the country. Why do you want to move there? What maybe is drawing you there? Do you have family ties and connections? Do you have ancestral roots that are there that you're trying to get to? The Page of Swords says maybe it's time to actually start digging and learning a little bit more in a new way, in a childlike, with a new slate type of energy. Additionally, the Page of Swords can be immature in their thinking. And with this being reversed, I think maybe this is the time for us to level up in our thinking and to start thinking in a more mature way. With the moon, like in a more rational way, the moon card represents delusion. It represents our dreams at the same time. And with it being underneath the Lovers card in this spread, this makes me feel like maybe it's time for us to take more action and get back to the basics and get more knowledge about our dreams and pursuing our dreams. This doesn't have to be a bad card. This is Pisces card. And Pisces is the sign that can make dreams come true. They absolutely are able to manifest. They're not just delusional. Yes, they can get caught up in their delusion. Hence the reason this evil spirit in the original deck, it's a crawfish that's actually coming up from behind to kind of sneak up and attack you. They even have masks on in this card. Like, are they even sure about, like, you know, what they're seeing, what they're feeling, what they're going for, if you will, what they're looking at and staring at, with it being the moon? And we have a full moon this week. So in this full moon energy, maybe you haven't given the moon enough emotional connection and connecting it spiritually. You're like, oh, there goes full moon. It's a full moon. Why don't we take some time to honor the moon and allow the moon to speak to us and speak to our dreams? This moon card is upright. And with the Page of Swords being reversed, for me, this feels like maybe a new way to think about the moon. Our ancestors followed the moon, you guys. And so maybe this is a new way for us to think about spiritual connection, spirituality, prayer, worship, the earth, divinity, our divine selves. This is all the moon and Pisces energy. And the Page of Pentacles being next is, and this also being upright, also feels like this brings a new sense of value and worth. The Pentacles are our earth signs. They are our stability. They are our value, our resources, and our worth. And so with this Page of Pentacles, she is young and vibrant. And so maybe this is a way for us to re-examine our connection to spirituality, our connection to Mother Earth, and seeing a new value in that, seeing a new value in the way that we pursue our goals and our dreams for our future. Aquarius is a very futuristic sign, and with Saturn being there, it is a time to be disciplined. And discipline, Saturn isn't saying don't follow your dreams. Saturn is saying be realistic, okay, with your dreams. You can have it, but you got to work for it. You can have the life of your dreams. There are too many people in this world living the life of their dreams for any of us watching this to not believe that we can't live the life of our own dreams. If they can do it, why not you? You can do it. You just got to have a plan. That's the other thing with Pentacles. They are planners. They are resourceful. And so maybe it's time for a new plan. The Page of Swords of reverse, that's also logic and practicality and thinking and talking and researching. Maybe you need to find new research, new information about this plan that you have. And then last but not least, we have the Four of Cups here. For me, the Four of Cups is a reminder that there are going to be some things that we have to let go of. There are some disappointments. Maybe our disappointments from our past is what's keeping us from moving forward. We're just, oh, I tried it before, it didn't work out. Maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe you didn't have the right information. Maybe you were connected or bound to the wrong person or the wrong people or the wrong ideals even when you thought about this before. Maybe it's time for you to, maybe you took improper action or action at the wrong time. And now it's time for you to reconsider that. Get back to the basics. Get back to the root of things. Get back to the true reason that you are looking to pursue these things in life. This full moon is giving us an opportunity to let go of limits and fears and restrictions. It's not going to be easy, but Saturn is like, if you'll do the work, I'll give you the blessing. Okay. The Page of Swords is a reminder that we need to get new energy or new information, new intel. Like review, it's reverse. Go back to journals from a couple years ago. Go back to where you were when you were a child. We got two pages here. They're very childlike, young adolescents. The world is mine. I can do anything type energy. Get back to that and find value in that. Find the stability in that. you can absolutely have the life of your dreams. Now, it is going to require for us to walk away from some things, maybe some things that don't feel like this is what we're supposed to be walking away from. But one thing I love about this Four of Cups is she's, first of all, her sweater says over it. You're over it. You don't like it. You're like, this can't be life. This can't be life. It's got to be better than this. There's got to be so much more that I can do. So it's like, this can't be life. Well, listen, it doesn't have to be, because if you look here, Spirit is offering another cup runneth over, full of blessings, full of opportunity, full of feel good, full of love, full of all of the things that you've dreamed about, that you daydream about, that when you find yourself caught in thought, you still have the opportunity to have that. But we got to release some fear. We got to release some limited thinking, limited belief systems. We have to understand that as we do the work, either in a spiritual way or a practical way, we will be blessed. We will see the fruits of our labor come to fruition. It's just important that we work with the energies. I do want to say this. I think the Hierophant, I feel like she's just like looking at me right here. It is important for us to get back to the basics. And that could very well be, getting better night's sleep, the moon, or we need to eat better, or we need to read more, or we need to get back to the basics of investing and saving our money, doing some of the things that our parents taught us. Maybe if we're talking about relationships, we need to get back to the basics of spending quality time together every night before bed, or getting back to the basics of one parent not making a decision without consulting the other parent. There's just so many basics and so many foundational things that we've been taught that we've thrown away. We've gotten so into a society that just completely wants to disregard the ways of the old people. And I get it. We're like, it's 2022. We don't do that anymore. But some of those things were for our benefit. And some of us are that Pluto and Libra generation. And that generation has the potential and the ability to see the value of some of the old ways of thinking and some of the ways that the older generations did things, and how we can incorporate some of those core values and core beliefs and core ways of doing things into the newer generation, and how the two mesh and balance each other out. So I'm that Pluto and Libra generation. I was born in 78. So anyone right around there, it is important for us to take what we know to be true from our ancestors and from our past, and maybe relay some of that information and take some of that into our future, and incorporate it and kind of, manipulate it, if you will, in order for it to be able to bring fresh value, fresh self-worth and resources into our lives. We may have to walk away from a lot of beliefs and things that maybe we thought were going in the direction, but they're not. And it's time for us, with this Leo energy, to reevaluate our decisions. We're allowed to change our mind. You're allowed to quit and be like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. This isn't working out for me. This isn't the direction that I wanted to go. You're allowed to do those things. It doesn't make you a failure. Maybe that didn't work out for you. So what? One of my favorite Sagittarius, Jay-Z, he says, I've learned more from failure than from success. You learn more about yourself when you have to make hard decisions, when you have to say that didn't work for me, when you have to quit something, when you have to pivot. You learn more about yourself. And when you learn more about yourself, you trust yourself more. You have more self-confidence. And that is really what Saturn in Aquarius and this full moon in Aquarius and the sun in Leo wants us to do. Pursue our desires, our will for our lives, allowing ourselves to really live a life of joy and excitement and creativity and self-expression, so that this type of energy can be handed out to the collective, observed and felt by the collective, so that they too can then be themselves and live a life that's full of joy. And again, the cycle repeats. It's all cyclical. So remembering The sun in Leo wants us to really express ourselves. The moon in Aquarius wants us to really examine, are we being too logical when we need to feel? Are we being too feel when we need to be logical? Where can we put more hard work in? Where can we be more disciplined? What needs more of our time and our energy so that it's able to grow, it's able to mature, and it's able to take us to that next level of our future self, our highest self, our most beautiful life. So I really enjoyed bringing this reading to you guys today. I hope it really helps you and helps you to have an amazing full moon and the rest of this week. Remembering Venus also goes into Leo. This is really a great opportunity to just go within yourself and just find what brings you joy and to continue to pursue that, letting go of anything that is hindering or blocking that. And so thank you so much. Until next time.